Okay, so just so people online can see who's here in person, we do have people in person.
Oh, hey, Franny Banana, you couldn't get out of your driveway?
No, she's sick.
She's
Oh.
sick. Feel better.
And we're very glad she's not here in
Yeah.
person.
Right, that's right. That's
We're
right.
glad under the circumstances.
That's right. And Margie's here all the way from Florida.
Yay, Marjorie!
And how cold is it in Florida? Like 20 degrees?
It's
Yeah.
cold, she said,
Yeah.
but still outside taking a walk.
Wait, stop.
Okay.
I'm in DC. Does that count? I
Yeah,
had an emergency
That wasn't
with a
exotic.
patient that I had to go see.
It's not as exotic as
DC's
Florida.
DC's like another country with the
Right.
amount of snow that has not been shoveled.
Dude,
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah. Okay, I want to get started because I have to leave to pick up my mother to see my father. So I wanted to be able to laser focus on this meeting. So thank you all for being here, and thanks, Fran, for organizing it to get everybody, make sure we're all on the same page about ensuring that the kitchen is kosher. So several months ago, I had produced this document that I'm sharing now on Zoom, and people here, if they want to see it, can come around the computer and take a look. Sharei Tefillah Kitchen Kashrut Standards. So it's divided into food and Shabbat and Passover. So there are three categories that as kitchen captains, we would be involved in ensuring the kashrut of the kitchen. So what we're talking, assuming that everybody understands what it means to keep kosher, that is that so as it says on this document, all food cooked, prepared in, and served from our kitchen must be certified kosher. We do not allow food to be brought in from people's homes. So that's already taking a step. I just want to be sure that we understand that kosher means not just what the Torah says, that there's certain animals, fish, and birds that are kosher, that can be eaten and cannot be eaten, but the rabbi said the preparation of those, of animals, fish, and birds require rabbinic supervision. And then in modern times, the processing of food requires supervision as well. So any food that doesn't require supervision would be raw produce and raw eggs that you buy in a carton. So eggs in a carton, raw, fresh produce, fruit and vegetables do not need a kosher certification on them. Anytime any food becomes processed, then it needs a kosher certification. We, as a conservative synagogue, maintain that kosher certification means that it has one of these symbols on this document here, or there are plenty of other acceptable symbols too. It just happened that when you Google kosher certification images, this is a good picture that came up that I could insert in the document. These are the most common, some of the more common ones, but there are other kosher certifications too. You can't just assume that the letter K randomly placed on a label means kosher. It has to be something more than that. And if you have a question about it, as Fran knows and Scylla knows, you just call me or text me. I'm almost always available right away, so that if you're in Costco or BJ's or someplace and you have a question, I can answer the question before you get out of the store. Okay? So things need to be kosher certified. So what we deal with mainly for Shabbat Kiddush are foods that are purchased at Shalom's, so then you don't have a question. And then there are people who are going to the other stores to buy other things too. So as long as they have kosher certification on it, That's good. The other complicating factor is dairy, meat, and pareve. So these tabletops, as you all know, these are the dairy tabletops. So if you're coming to do a kiddush, 9.9 times out of 10, it's going to be a dairy kiddush. So you want to make sure that the first thing you want to take a look at is make sure that these covers are on. The covers are not on, then it's meat. The cover comes off. Yes, they do. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And there's also labeled dairy, but without they're heavy.
The handles, the dairy.
Yes, right.
But if you
Right.
don't see the handles, that's dairy.
So like the Shabbat dinners, which are meat, you have to make sure the covers are not on. And then underneath it, it says meat. Trust me, it says meat.
Rabbi,
Louise-
for those of us on Zoom, can you aim your laptop so we can see, please?
If it has handles, it's dairy.
Did you see?
Oh, wow.
Okay. Says dairy. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I lift it up, you see, it says meat. And
I had no idea. Wow.
Okay, right. Okay. So when you work a Shabbat dinner, the Shabbat dinners 9.9 times out of 10 are meat. So you have to be sure that the covers are off when you're preparing and when during the week cooking for the Shabbat dinner, and then of course when heating it up and serving it. Yes, Valerie.
Where are these?
Oh, Luis stores it.
In the
Usually in
dairy
the
closet.
usually they're in the dairy closet. Sometimes they're in the storage area. Sometimes they're in the hallway. Luis knows.
And if they're not on there, if the right one's not on
These
there,
covers.
just speak to Luis, he'll move them for you. We do not need
No,
to
but-
move these. These are so heavy enough, he takes care of them.
The other thing is you shouldn't be coming into the kitchen without somebody knowing that you're coming into the kitchen. That is Jerry. Please don't assume that you can just walk into the kitchen and do something on your own. It's really, really helpful and probably better kashrut wise for Jerry to know that the kitchen is going to be being used by the Sisterhood Kiddush Committee, or by the Shabbat Dinner Committee, or by the Gala Committee, or whatever other committee is preparing food. So please don't just assume that you can just come in on your own, because somebody might not be here, and you might not know the alarm to the building, and we want to be sure that the kitchen is prepared for you. So you just tell Jerry that you were doing dairy or we're doing meat, and then Luis will have it prepared for you. We'll also have the closet, the appropriate closet open. Right now, the dairy equipment is out. So in the dairy closet is that cart here. You see, those on Zoom can see the cart there behind Karen. That's the dairy utensil.
this way.
Right, that's the cart of utensils that is found in the dairy closet. The meat closet has a similar one. So, again, when we're working in the kitchen, we want to be sure that we're working with one type of food only. It's really, it can be done to do dairy and meat at the same time, but we really don't want to do that, and it gets confusing, and equipment can get mixed up. So one type of food at a time. So dairy covers are on, the dairy closet is open, and Luis will have that open for you too. And that's the other reason to tell Jerry, if it's not Shabbat, if it's some other time, that the appropriate closet will be open too. Okay, the oven. So Shabbat adds a complicating factor to maintaining kashrut, because there's also Shabbat standards that we want to be sure of too. So the Torah says you may not light a fire on Shabbat. And it says you're not allowed to do work on Shabbat. Shabbat's a day of rest. It doesn't say anything about not cooking on Shabbat in the Torah. The rabbis interpret not lighting a fire and Shabbat being a day of rest by coming up with 39 categories of work to refrain from. So that's enough said about the categories of work. There's a whole tractate in the Talmud of 130 pages to talk about it. We don't need to do that. The impact of that statement is that cooking is work and no cooking can be done on Shabbat. So sometimes we serve hot food at Kiddush. So certainly we serve hot food in the winter months for Shabbat dinner after Shabbat has started already, right? Shabbat starts at candle lighting time, which is 18 minutes before sunset. If you look on your weather app on a Friday, it'll tell you, any day of the week, your weather app will tell you what time sunset is. Subtract 18 minutes from that, and that's candle lighting time. So before that time is when candle lighting time is when work cannot be done on Shabbat until nightfall. So it's 25 hours of Shabbat. So how do we get around doing cooking? Well, we're not cooking. Right. So we're not cooking on Shabbat. We're warming up. But the ovens have to be on in order for warming up to happen. So that's where Luis comes in handy. Now, non-Jewish people can do work for Jewish people on Shabbat. Sometimes even Jewish people can do work for Jewish people on Shabbat. Like me, I'm working on Shabbat, but that's a whole other question. But but that's different. So work, in this case, it's Shabbat work versus other work. So Shabbat work might not seem like work because it's not sweat producing if we say that's work, but the rabbis say it's work. So Luis, ahead of time, should know that he needs the ovens on. We are not allowed to ask somebody to do work for us specifically on Shabbat. So you hear stories of General Colin Powell, Governor Mario Cuomo, Elvis Presley being Shabbos goys. They were, but they knew ahead of time that they needed to go to their neighbor's house to turn on the oven or turn off the oven. But you can't say, Shelley, assuming you're not Jewish, I can't say to you, Shelley, can you turn on my oven now? I could say to you on Friday, can you turn on my oven tomorrow at such and such a time? On Friday, I can say that to you. On Shabbat, I can't say it to you. If the oven's not on, oops, what are you going to do? Shelley, I would really like to have some hot food today. And then you can understand, oh, I forgot to turn on his oven, and I'll turn on his oven. Right. So, or if the heat is not on in the building, I could say to Luis, if he understood English with this subtlety, boy, it's really cold in here. I cannot say to Luis, please turn the heat on, because then I'm asking him specifically to do work for me on Shabbat. So that's why. But he knows ahead of time when an oven should be on. So if you come in and it's supposed to be a hot Kiddush and the oven isn't on, then I would encourage you to please do the roundabout way to say, boy, we're supposed to have a hot Kiddush today. Or boy, I don't understand why the oven's not on. Something like that. Not something out of the way. Yes, Karen.
And just in case if you want, if you have Translate on your phone.
Okay, well, okay, yes. Yeah, well, so, okay. Look,
Can you repeat the question?
they understand, Karen said, well, you can use Google Translate on your phone or some translating app. No, but,
people.
no. So look, I'm okay about using electricity on Shabbat. That's not a problem. And those ovens are electric, but my position is, so I have an electric oven at home too. I don't turn on the electric oven. No, that's not true. Do I have an electric oven? I do have an electric oven. Yes, no, we leave it on. we turn it on before Shabbat and just leave it on. We don't adjust the temperature either. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with you using Google Translate. That would be fine. Yes,
Like next week, we have the fundraiser. So
Right.
Mary knows the schedule.
right,
Got back, I told her because she does send to Luis messages, and he has it in Spanish. We spoke yesterday, so he knows like what time. So you
Right.
have like,
Right.
having 3 different point people is good.
right.
So it's not just you know, just make sure.
So that's
you
the,
have
that, the
backup.
key that Scylla, the bottom line is, please don't do things on your own. Make sure that other people know that what you're doing, so that everybody can help you do it, and make sure that it's done the right way and everything's here for you to do. Yes, Jack?
This came up on Friday night, is if the oven is already on
Yeah,
prior to Shabbat,
yes,
could it stay on and the food stay in there at that temperature to keep it warm, not
yes.
cooking it?
Yeah. You're allowed to warm food on Shabbat, you're not allowed to cook food on Shabbat.
Okay.
So this
That's
isn't,
what I thought, but
Yes.
someone said that, no, we had to turn off the ovens as soon as Shabbat occurred.
no. No, that, right. Yeah, no, so no, Luis, no, right, no. No, just as you can't turn on an oven on Shabbat, you can't so you're not allowed to light a fire, you're not allowed to extinguish a fire on Shabbat either. So you can't turn on the oven on Shabbat, you can't turn off the oven on Shabbat. That would be Luis's job to do. Or if there's somebody not Jewish on your crew, that would be an option also. There are people who are members of the synagogue who are not Jewish, who volunteer on the Kiddush committee, and that we in a pinch have been brought in to take care of something if something hasn't been done. Yes, Wendy?
I have a question. So
Yeah.
I know like several months, 6, 8 months ago, we talked about the fact that you said 200 degrees to reheat.
Right,
Okay, so
yes.
I have a question about that.
Yeah,
If the kugel has already been baked,
yes.
the ziti has already been baked.
Yes.
Okay. Why we're not baking it? We're
Right.
reheating it.
It
But
could
I can
cook.
tell you,
It could cook more.
it doesn't. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead, finish
I
your
mean,
question.
I believe
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I
Go
believe
ahead,
you.
go ahead.
But I'm just saying, those kugels don't reheat at 200 degrees. They're cold. They're still cold. And so, like, I mean, I washed my hands and used gloves and stuck my finger in, and they're still cold.
Okay, so Wendy's asking a question about sometimes the Kiddush committee cooks a lot of zedis and puts them in the freezer, or cheese kugels or whatever. And so, what about reheating? And they're taken out before Shabbat to thaw, and 200 degrees isn't enough to warm them up. So again, the oven theoretically could be on higher in order to warm it up. The danger is that it would be getting toasty or cooking, and that really shouldn't be done on Shabbat. And then also the temperature being adjusted in that way is not supposed to be done on Shabbat. So Luis could do the adjusting of the temperature, but the ideal is that 200 degrees, I mean, that would be the first thing you'd have to do when the crew comes in on Shabbat morning at 9:30 to put it in, and so that'd be ready in 2 hours.
We have to have him put it in like the minute he gets it.
Or Luis puts it in when he gets there, right?
But if you're having, let's say you're having a catering company come in, nobody's Jewish.
Oh, I don't
and
care.
they're
They can
doing
do it. They can do it.
right?
They can do it.
So my question is,
Yeah.
not to debate it, but
Yeah.
what is the difference if Louise, who is not the Jewish participant here,
Right.
why can't he put the oven on at 300?
He could. The problem is that his English isn't great. So he
What
might
was the
not
question?
understand
He
exactly.
knows exactly what we're talking about.
Okay, so that's fine.
Okay,
That's
I just
fine.
wanted to make sure.
That's
I
fine.
It would not be us, it's just.
Yes,
Louise.
yes, that would be
I'm not
fine.
gonna go turn the dial.
Right.
Okay.
Luis can turn the dial. That would be fine.
Okay.
That would be
It's just
fine.
that we have
Yeah, I get it. Not a problem.
So wait, what was the upshot?
The upshot is that Luis can adjust the dial to make sure that the kugel or the ziti or whatever needs to be heated is hot enough.
And typically, if those things that come in are covered with tinfoil, as we often do, that also would keep it from browning.
So maybe, yeah,
Maybe,
that's the temperature.
excuse
Yeah.
me, maybe Maggie, Margie can confirm from her experience that if we're heating something at 200, what's the concern of it going bad? We better to get it
No,
to.
We're
food,
beyond the 200 point
it,
by
food
saying that it's okay to heat it up a lot
yeah,
higher.
I know what you're asking. So food has to be heated, it can't sit out more than 2 hours, below 140, between 40 and 140. So as long as it's not sitting out for 2 hours, if you take it right from the refrigerator to a 200-degree oven and the internal temperature of the food reaches 140 degrees, that's safe. You're okay with that.
It's safe, but it's not hot yet to eat, so.
Right, it might not be hot, but it's 140 is safe. Below 40 degrees, above 140 degrees is safe. The danger zone is between 40 and 140, and you don't want food to sit out.
So I can't speak to the safety issues. I can only speak to the kashrut issues, but we should follow the safety rules too. And maybe there should be another session with somebody else talking about food safety issues.
I have that posted. There should be a chart on the refrigerator.
Right, yes. Okay, yes.
So could Luis have the oven at 250?
Yes, as long as he knows that at some point he's going to lower the oven, or making sure that the food in the oven doesn't start boiling. Sometimes sauces start to boil. Yeah, so sometimes sauces start to boil, and there shouldn't be boiling happening. Okay, but I'll leave it to you to figure out how to do the best way of fitting the concept of warming food and not cooking food on Shabbat. Karen.
So we can maybe have a state, especially in the winter, to start at 300. And then we monitor. Now here's my next question.
Yeah.
If we have a temperature, a food
Thermometer in there.
Okay. Can we use it, or does Louise?
Yeah, sure. There's nothing wrong with using a thermometer. Yes.
What we can do now as standard practice to try to make sure we don't boil and all of
Right.
that
Yes.
is about an hour and a half after it's been in there, we take the temperature.
Yes, you could do that.
Make sure.
Yes.
So that has just become a standard practice.
Right. Okay, Debbie.
Can we ask a child, like somebody under 13?
You shouldn't. No, there are Orthodox people who ask children to do things for them, and those are Jewish children, and that's teaching it's for me, personally, I just don't like that idea. You're teaching a child that they can be used to get around the law, and how do you do it in a way that will get respect for the law and the process? So no, I would not like to have a Jewish child. Yeah, right, but no, I don't want to have children involved.
Rabbi,
Let's.
I have a question.
Yes,
or
Margie.
I have a comment, actually.
Yes.
So I purchased a meat oven thermometer and a dairy oven thermometer, and they should always be used to check the temperature of food, not only to see if it tastes hot enough, but hot food should be above 140.
Okay.
And
Right.
then depending on what it is.
We can get.
Yeah.
So I'm cognizant of my time, and
Yeah, okay.
food safety issues is not my
All right, I'll do
specialty,
that. I'll
but-
do that.
Yes. So
Another time.
it would be. I'll leave it up to you to have, not you, Margie, but you people who are on this session, to come up with a food safety session.
Okay.
Okay. Other kashrut things. So that's Shabbat and kashrut. The tricky thing now is that kind of throws a monkey wrench into this is holidays, where you are allowed to cook on a holiday. So Jewish holidays have the same rules as Shabbat, except for cooking. You're allowed to cook on a holiday, because sometimes a holiday happens right before Shabbat. And even the rabbis knew, because I guess their wives were telling them, you can't tell us, you can't expect to have hot food on your Yontiv and Shabbat if you don't let us cook one of those days. So I'm sure that's what happened, right? So we've had on Shavuot, like cooking cheesecake on the holiday of Shavuot itself, like making cheesecake. I think that has happened before. Or on Sukkot. Well, now Hanukkah is not a holiday in this regard, right? We're talking Pesach, Sukkot, and Shavuot are Yontif. Hanukkah is not a Yontif. Yeah, so.
Passover's like that, Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday, Shabbat. Right. So the thing is, then if there was a Kiddush happening on Sukkot, Passover, or Shavuot, where you wanted to cook something for the Kiddush, that would be totally fine. Okay? Okay. This document has some specific explanations about certain things, certain food products that need kosher certification and other things that don't. So I'll leave you to look at this document, and you can ask me questions about that another time. Yes, I could send it to you. I'll actually send it to Fran and Valerie, and they can send it out to the people, okay? And I'll send them the recording also, that you can send it out to everybody. Passover is on this list. I have it on this list, but we're not open. The kitchen is not open on Passover. That's just the easiest thing to do. And people have asked about that over the years, but it's been individual people. It's really, the kitchen is not open on Passover. So, but we do serve food for services, but everything, Luis koshers one of the refrigerators and puts it in the storage area. And so it's only, we have egg matzah, we have macaroons, and then on the 8th day, the Kenskis have been buying stuff from Shalom's or Moti's, put that in there. Everything is all prepared, and it's all, so there's nothing really except for washing fruit, maybe grapes or something that are served at the Kiddush. There's nothing that is needed. So the kitchen isn't needed, and anything that needs to be washed, there is a tap in that storage area that can be used, and so that's it. It's all disposable stuff. All disposable stuff, right. So everything, there are a couple of things in my office, and a closet in my office of platters that are just Passover. There's Passover liquor in my office in that cabinet too. But everything else, you can just take the stuff that's off in the hall, even though it's used year round, but it's disposable, it's kosher for Passover. There's no food is going where those cups and plates are kept. You got them in separate bins, and that's totally fine. Okay, yes?
This may sound stupid, but if the kitchen is closed,
Yeah,
does that mean you're not allowed to use this area
Correct.
for putting things in bowls?
correct. Everything is in the storage room. So there could be another table brought in to put stuff out on, right? Or even bring the food out to the table in the social hall, but that's how it's done. Yeah, we do not, the kitchen remains locked, because it's almost impossible to clean this commercial kitchen in a way for Passover, okay? I mean, we all can kosher our homes, but to kosher this kitchen, it requires more work and might even require a blowtorch. So to get under here, because there's food that gets under here, you got to clean it. So, right. I mean, the table comes apart, but the corners. Yes.
One year, and it was 2 weeks of work.
Exactly.
It's for 8 days. One oven and one table,
right.
and one refrigerator and one
Right.
freezer.
It's just not worth it. Not worth it. Not worth it. Yes. Okay. Any questions? Any questions that people have? Hi.
Parv.
Yes. Parv.
Ins and outs of parv.
Okay. So Parv is a category that is Yiddish word, I guess, for neutral. There are some foods that are not dairy or meat, like eggs, like fruit and vegetables, like fish. Certain baked goods are considered parv, so gesundheit. So I don't have a problem with parv stuff being put on the dairy counter and then being served at a dairy meal, and then leftover parv stuff being then served at a meat meal, or vice versa. It's only if you have, I don't know, like you have I'm trying to think, an open food, but I'm trying to think of an example of something that could go back and forth. Like, I don't know, fruit.
Salad.
A ketchup container. Yeah, a condiment container. Yeah, so you can use that for both. The margarine, it depends. If a knife went on it and left crumbs behind, yes. So, salad dressings, yes. Salad, something that closes easily.
Rabbi?
And the meat, just a second, Fran. Karen's asking a question. Yes.
So right now, those kinds of things are in this regard.
Yes.
If someone makes something, they have scrambled eggs, and they want ketchup with their scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
They can take the ketchup out.
Yes,
and
yes, yes,
But
that'd be fine.
We had a large dinner, we had fruit.
Yes,
Fruit,
right.
And we didn't have room in there.
Right, you can put it in the, right, yes, right. So for Valerie, they're talking about where stuff gets stored after a meal is over to want to then use it for another meal. So yes, we have separate dairy and meat refrigerators to keep things easier and less complicated. But there are some things that we can allow to become complicated if we know what we're doing. So Valerie was saying leftover fruit, like you get those fruit platters from the Amish market. If you have leftover fruit from a dairy kiddush, you could use that fruit at a meat dinner the next week, or vice versa, because it's just fruit. And the other impact is it's cold. Cold parv is a lot easier to share than hot. Once it's hot and you put a hot utensil, a meat utensil into it, then it becomes that the parv then becomes meat, okay, or dairy. So if it's hot parv, like scrambled eggs, they're hot. So if you have leftover scrambled eggs from a dairy meal, they are dairy. Okay, they because you used dairy utensils to prepare it and eat it with. So, but you're not usually, unless it's a fruit compote that's hot. Otherwise, the fruit from the Amish market is cold. So, cold is the key. If it's something cold, then it can be shared from one meal to another. Scylla.
I also, 80% of what we do, if not 90%, is usually dairy.
Right.
But we are trying to expand a little more on the meat side.
Right.
We have this event coming up. I talked to Jonah and I said, glassware. There's so much in the
right.
dairy. And he said, you don't just take it out, even though it's glass. Louise is going to
Wash
run
it
through the dishwasher first at high temperature, and then we can use it for the meat.
Yeah.
We're not hearing the question.
So repeat the question. So Scylla is asking about glassware. So each closet has its own glassware. One closet has more than the other. Glass is this, okay. So there's food and there's also utensils. Utensils need to be meat or dairy. And depending on what the utensil is, the utensil, if a mistake is made, can be koshered or not koshered. So metal utensils can be koshered by boiling them or heating them. So if it's a fork or a knife that was somehow, it's a meat knife that was served at a hot dairy meal, the meal doesn't have to be thrown away, but the utensil just needs to be koshered by putting it in boiling water. But glass, not Pyrex, glass is parv. That, in other words, it's not porous. So there's no way, if you have 100% glass, bowl, dish, whatever, you know that it doesn't stain. It could, but the food can be cleaned off of it pretty easily. So that shows that it's not porous. So there are a lot of people today who only have one set of dishes as glass. Yeah, so theoretically you can do that, but the rabbis just like us to make a distinction from one meal to another. So you are supposed to wash it through under hot water between one meal and the next. So Scylla had asked me for the dinner next Saturday night, can we use the dishes that are in the dairy closet for this meat meal? Yes, so the glassware, so yes. So it'll be washed by Luis in the dishwasher, but then it becomes meat. So you have to remember that it becomes meat. If you want to, has to be washed again, if you want to put it back in the dairy closet. Okay? So that, yes.
It doesn't matter which dishwasher they use.
No, it doesn't matter which dishwasher. So, yeah, so there is a dairy sink and a meat sink, dairy and meat, yes, and a dairy dishwasher and a meat dishwasher. That's also just to make things easier, but technically you don't need to do that because most people at home don't have separate sinks and separate dishwashers. There are some people who do, but most people don't have separate sinks and separate dishwashers at home.
One comment I want to make, you mentioned
Fran.
about the dairy and the meat refrigerators.
Yes.
There are times that I have found dairy things in the meat refrigerator.
Yes.
And people need to be very cognizant and careful.
Yes.
There's no reason to put dairy food in the meat refrigerator.
Right, sometimes you run out after a big kiddush from storage space. So it's okay if it's a dairy meal and your leftovers are supposed to go in a dairy refrigerator, and if there's not enough room, as long as it's wrapped properly, like leftover tuna fish or something, you can't just put it open. You should wrap it anyway. So as long as it's wrapped, you can put it in the meat refrigerator and vice versa. I don't have a problem with that because most people don't have separate refrigerators at home either. So we want to make this as easy as possible, but sometimes it's just easier to keep things dairy and meat all the way around, but it doesn't have to be as long as we know what we're doing. And if you don't know, please ask. Please ask.
So once the tuna fish is stored in a meat refrigerator, can we serve it at
Sure.
dairy?
Sure. As long as it has been covered up and it's fine, it's not a problem.
I
It's
also
not a
want
problem.
to let the group know, since you're all here, we just ordered 48 new white 14-inch platters, which will go in the meat. We will label them underneath with red dots, and the ones in the dairy will have blue dots. So you can use the platters, just make sure you're using the right.
Yes, so again, platters, if it's cold, doesn't have to be koshered if you make a mistake, but you just want to be sure. It's so much easier. If it's a meat meal, use meat platters, dairy meal, dairy platters. And so that you don't get the things mixed up, because then if you go into the dairy and you see something with a red mark on it, then your automatic response should be, this is not kosher. This is not kosher. Meat should not be in the dairy closet. So then you shouldn't use it. You shouldn't use it, and you should ask me what to do about it.
Well, these are melamine, they're not glass.
Right, so it's plastic. So as long as it's cold, if something's cold has been on it, easily solved. Something hot on it, you ruin it. Yes, right. Well, I don't know. So that's somebody I'd have to ask, and I'd have to rely on the person's memory. I remember putting this in this closet, and this was what was on it. And depending on the answer, either we can use the platter again or we can't. Yes, Marlene?
Okay, so if you're making eggs.
Yes.
On a pan that's, you normally use for dairy. Like
Yes.
cheese, but this time you're not using the cheese, but it's hot, so those eggs are still considered hard.
No, because it's hot. It's hot. So if anything hot in this kitchen is going to be made with either dairy or meat equipment, And once it's made hot on that equipment, it becomes that food and it stays that food. Once it's hot. Tuna fish is not hot. So tuna fish can go both ways. Egg salad can go both ways once the eggs have been boiled. So yes, the eggs are boiled in a shell and still parve, boiled in its shell. And so when you're making the egg salad, the eggs are cooled off already. Okay, so, but scrambled eggs or an omelet, even though might be a parve scrambled egg or parve omelet, in theory, once it's made in the pan, that pan determines what it is. Okay, so once it's hot, the pan determines what it is, meat or dairy. Yes, Val?
Wendy just told me something I didn't know.
Really making it harder than it needs to be.
That Pyrex is
Right.
not considered.
Pyrex is not glass because Pyrex stains, and that means it's porous.
What about Corningware?
Corelle also not parve. Corelle is like a plasticky kind of material, but it is not glass. It's made to look like glass and to be sturdy, but it's not. Pyrex can go in the oven. Sometimes glass can't go in the oven. Glass might crack, but Pyrex won't. Pyrex is made to go in the oven, but it's porous. So I have Pyrex things at home that are still stained a little bit. So yes, so but yes. So that Corningware, same thing. It's not glass. It's not glass. So, but again, if something is cold and you make a mistake, it can be solved very easily. You put your frozen brisket on a dairy platter, not a big deal. Not a big deal because it's a frozen brisket. Take it off before you put it in the oven. But if you take the cooked brisket and put it on the dairy platter, then you made a big boo-boo. Okay, not only is the platter not good anymore, the brisket's not good anymore. Because the essence of the food and the essence of the platter then become commingled, and you don't do that. So, yeah, right, it's a big, right, and brisket, especially if it's brisket. First cut brisket. Oy, oy, oy. That's a major financial loss. Right. Yeah, right.
$150 for a brisket.
Yeah.
I called Richard, I said, I found my birthday present.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Brisket.
Go to the market.
Right.
I am, it's $150.
Yeah, brisket, that's right. Kosher brisket, yes.
We have a kiddush on Saturday morning.
Right.
And so we're doing it.
In the gallery.
We're doing it in the gallery.
Right.
My concern is I would have loved it to be just like horror stuff. Because
Right.
Louise would then have dairy,
Oh,
and
you
then he's gotta come in.
Is there going to be hot stuff served?
Just ask Val to look if it's anything like.
It's not nothing major happening next Shabbos. Right, I think it's, yeah.
What's the question?
The question about Kiddush next week, because the kitchen, next Saturday night is the gala with the dinner, and the kitchen should be set for meat already. What to do about the Kiddush, which is parve stuff, how can we prepare it so for what would normally be dairy stuff for next Shabbat?
What if we left everything in its container from Shalom instead of having multiple bowls of tuna fish?
Yes.
Just have one.
Yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be
And
totally
cream
fine.
cheese.
So the only question,
I'm actually
the
kitchen
question,
captain
Fran-
this week. I'm actually kitchen captain,
Ah.
so it would be
So-
good for me to know.
yeah, so is there cream cheese next week, Fran?
I assume.
You assume so. So, okay. That's
But we don't have to put it in a bowl. We can leave it in the foil package it's in, and people won't have to.
But you're also going to be using dairy utensils, like metal utensils to serve Kiddush?
Or we can use plastic and just throw everything away.
Use plastic. Okay, so Fran, I'd like you to, if you can coordinate with Karen Sussman about that, to use all plastic stuff, then I don't have a problem with stuff being placed on the table and before moving it to the gallery. Okay, unless you can just put it on the cart and just put everything on the
I'll use
carts.
the cart. I'll use a
Okay.
cart and I'll make sure that I'll just pull the plastic utensils
Yes.
out of the dairy, utensil cart, and we'll just use all plastic. And we'll
Yes.
put the cream cheese on paper plates
Yes.
this time just to avoid anything.
Yes,
Okay.
okay, that'd be great, that'd be great, so we can work it. Yes, Jackie?
And then, normally we have one congregant who says that he has to have butter because he can't have the cream cheese. Can we use an open margarine for that person then? And just leave it in the container? It's already-
We'll put out
The
a stick of butter.
The butter is the same thing as the cream cheese, so
Yeah.
Karen will put it on the cart.
Australia.
Be
He's
served
not
with
gonna
the
be-
plastic.
Okay.
He won't be there. He won't be
He's
there.
not gonna be there anyway. Okay,
Okay.
fine, whatever. But the butter would be like the cream cheese, so it'd be fine. Any other questions about the kashrut of the kitchen?
So just a suggestion that someone said, we should probably label the sinks. I mean, I've been here for years, so I know which ones they are, but just label
Label things, right.
And if we have them color coded also, rather than just being white, that was brought up to me, I thought that was a good idea also. So having that sign being red, that sign being
right.
blue, and doing the same thing with refrigerators, instead of them being white,
Yeah.
signs
So I think,
color.
so Luis knows these things too. Yes, yes, Marlene.
So one quick thing, only because, not that I don't think there's anybody who's colorblind here, but somebody had just mentioned,
Oh.
the one dot, but if you're colorblind, you really wouldn't be able to tell red from blue.
Uh-huh. Well, you could put a D and an M, maybe. Yeah, so then, okay.
Label all the platters with a D and a M.
Uh-huh, right. You could do that. Yeah, right. So you could do that. A blue D and a red M. Yes. Okay. Anything else about this?
The nine you
But just while I have everybody's attention, Margie is reminding me, and I want to remind everybody that we shouldn't use cream cheese from one week to another week. That whatever is left out, either give it to somebody or toss it. Don't be putting a few pieces of bagel or challah in the refrigerator thinking somebody else is going to throw it out. Get rid
Put it
of
in the
it.
freezer. Put it in the freezer. 'Cause I
There's
use it
too
for
much
mimosas.
stuff. There's too much stuff that just gets put back in the refrigerator.
Wait a minute,
Yes.
Fran is talking.
Right.
All right.
I have the question of, I agree, don't use it a week later, but Margie, many times, like yesterday, there was a beautiful kiddush, and what was left over, we put in bowls so that we could use this morning for the cafe, that's on
That's
Sunday
fine.
morning. Would that be okay?
Yes, as long as it wasn't out for more than 2 hours.
Yes.
And in
I
the danger
agree,
zone.
I agree.
So the
Right,
same
like,
thing
we
with
didn't do the pasta salad or anything like that, I didn't feel comfortable. But
Okay, so the
tuna-
problem, go ahead.
Go ahead, Margie.
So the problem with the cream cheese, like at home, you can use cream cheese, you put it right back in the refrigerator and you can keep it, as long as till you use it up. The problem with serving it and leaving it out is that danger zone. So just be aware of what time the food is put out,
Right.
and 2 hours is the limit.
Right.
With tuna and egg salad, like Fran had said in a chat with me, that should not be used from week to week. That should be used up right away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay. I can do
Okay.
another thing on safety with Megan another time.
Okay.
So then
Very
here's
good.
my comment that kind of piggybacks off of that is like Scylla said, she does use some of it for the cafe.
Cafe.
So if something is saved, because there was some stuff we did save from yesterday and it doesn't get used for the cafe, then whose responsibility is it to come in and throw it out before the
Throw
next
it out during the
kiddush?
week.
Yeah.
Oh, the people at the end of the cafe throw it out.
Okay.
Take it home and use it. You can
Okay,
use it
there are a
for-
couple questions here. Shelley, did you have a question? Ken, did you have a question?
So I wasn't a question, but I want to just mention, Gary sharpened all the knives and put covers on them all.
Oh.
Make sure when you use the knives and they get put away, that the covers are put back on. That's going to keep them
sharp.
Well,
Okay.
Louise needs to know that though, because I can tell you, I'm looking in there now, and they're not put on there. So Louise
Yeah,
needs to
so-
know about that.
Okay, so, all right. That's just a technical thing. about the knives having been sharpened, so that's up to whoever's working in the kitchen to make sure that the
Huey,
knives stay
stop.
covered. Yes.
She said something.
Okay, yes, right.
Knives are being put in the dishwasher, usually the team leaves.
Then put the pan away.
So then Luis needs to know. Okay, so it's an extra thing for a committee to do. Yes, hi.
In the interest of conservation and not throwing out as much, I always make it a point with
Huey.
things like cream cheese, tuna fish salad, egg salad. I don't put out everything we have. I monitor and then I add if it's gone, so that we
Right.
don't end up when we have something with huge
Right.
amounts.
Okay, so that's up to you guys to figure out the method as how to best to efficiently serve the food. Karen?
And to piggyback onto that, as the kitchen is getting straightened and organized, the spices were organized, they were all on the shelf.
They came down
They
because
came
we
down
looked
because
at
we
them
didn't
and
have
they-
inventory to buy.
Let her finish, please.
Yeah,
We cleaned off the shelves.
Yeah.
And got rid of spices that were from 2019.
Okay.
So, and tried to group them so that they're.
Uh-huh.
So, for those of you who are going to be cooking.
yeah,
also for
try to
those of
keep
you
it
who
organized.
Prepare meals. Prior to preparing a meal, I know, I haven't been here long. I'm coming on my second year here. So I'm sorry, but we're not Washington Hebrew and we're not B'nai Israel. So therefore, if you're going to be cooking something, please check. And I'm here frequently on Mondays. Please feel free to give me a call. I'm gonna have inventories of everything near, like on the refrigerators or the shelves, so that way we know what we do have prior to going and buying another
Right.
garlic salt.
Yes.
Garlic
Uh-huh.
salt. We have-
Got it.
So please check, don't go and buy for the meal, and if if you're using something like rice or something like that, check and see, and I know that people like different kinds of, like I really wanna have this type. Maybe we can think about not using that type all the time. Like maybe we can use what we have, so we use it up. Also,
So Friday night dinner committee needs to talk to Kiddush committee, needs to talk to other committees who are using food to make sure we stay organized.
also, the shelves over next to the refrigerators have kind of been organized with labels. I'll try to get better labels for some of them. And I've tried to put the crackers and the cookies just on one shelf in the next area, so that way we can kind of free up some space.
Okay, so
Does that
again,
work?
so this is out of my purview.
It's out of your
And so organizational stuff you guys can work out yourselves. Any other kashrut questions before we end?
It's a half a joke, it's like, okay, so if we go to, well, we ask Luis, like, the hint thing, like if something isn't
Oh, yes.
properly on. So if you hit once, and if you hit it twice and still didn't get it, can you ask him directly after the?
I
mean.
So the ideal is not to ask Luis directly, please turn on the oven. So there are other ways to do it, and yeah, you can be creative and work with other people and say, what's another way that we can ask him?
Something that I found that works is that it'd be so nice to have that a little bit
You
warmer.
could just find a congregant who's not Jewish is here.
There could be, but not
I
always.
don't understand the subtle hint.
Right,
It would be nice
right.
if the oven was 350.
Right, okay, I have to go.
Rabbi, I have one last question relating to kashrut.
Yes,
For all-
Karen?
So the cleaning supplies in the kitchen are all considered to be kashrut, and there's not a concern. Would that be correct?
The cleaning supplies in the kitchen, right, they can be intermingled, the soap can intermingle, but not the sponges. The sponges should stay dairy sink sponge, meat sink sponge, but the soap, you can move the soap from one sink to the other, okay?
But all the supplies, all the cleaning supplies like that, the soaps are fine to use. We don't need a
Yes,
hechsher or anything
soaps
else.
can be used, you can
Okay.
use from one sink to the other, but the sponge should stay at the sink that they are and should not move from one sink to the other.
I don't know if you heard the end of Karen's question. She wanted to know if the soap has to be hechshered.
Does the soap have to be? No, the soap does not. Soap is all chemicals, and so you don't have to worry about whether there's an OU on soap. A lot of them do have an OU on it already, but it doesn't matter. Soap, washing soap, tinfoil. Some tinfoils have an OU on them, some don't. Tinfoil doesn't need an OU. Cleaning, soap, bleach, they don't need an OU either. Okay, so that's totally fine. Okay.
Last comment.
I have one quick thing too. When putting things for the next day for cafe, check with Louise to see if there's going to be cafe, because there's not a, especially during the summer. So don't always assume.
Don't always assume there's a cafe the next day. Yes.
So
I don't know. I don't know. Yes.
So Margie, I found one of the thermometers that's magnetized to the oven. I don't know where the other is, and I didn't see a marking as to which one is dairy and which is
so again, this is not my time. I have to go. And Margie, you can answer his question offline.
Okay.
About the thermometers. Thank you.
Ken, text me, okay?
Okay, very good. Thank you all very much. And again, if you have any questions, you know where to find me. I'm happy to answer any and all questions at any time. Take care.